Salutations, Space Truckers, this is Lave Radio, and up next we have Gateway by the group Two Quiet Sons. Taken from their recent album Kelper Mission, check them out on soundcloud.com/Two Quiet Sons.
Hi there, my name's Chloe, and you're about to listen to my track Triangle. If you like it, feel free to visit www.soundcloud.com/chollyhappymusic to hear more. Enjoy your flight with Lave Radio.
Buzzer! 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 Do nothing!
I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Geronimo! Ben, do you have anything to say about low sex? Nor, as everyone else likes to call it, the penis rocket.
Why not?
We're going to give you a warm hand in your entrance.
Yeah, that butt clenching really was awesome.
Would be absolutely terrified of anything.
Sunday, I had a good time making a 10-year-old boy cry. Have you finished playing with your bunny?
Remember, this is the show where good ideas come to die. Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 378 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the orange sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, that's Commander Edelweiss, otherwise known as Ben Most Woodward.
The risk of starting on you already, but is a house a cross between a host and a mouse or something?
A what?
Is a host a cross between a host and a mouse or just a confused house or an X-house or something like that?
Fair enough. We've also got our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
Hello. And our Staff Liaison Officer, Commander Psychic, she's been streaming all day, so she's a bit tired. So we've got Replacement Psychic, which of course is our East India Ambassador, that's Mac Winston.
Hello.
Hello, glad that you're all there. And of course, today's tech is handled by our good friend Putnik Santiago. So, if you wish, you can join us live. We are hanging out in game somewhere. I do believe it's Lave Station, judging by where Ben is at the moment.
Yep, I am. Chris and I are currently at Lave Station. I believe Mac might be joining us as well.
Right, so we've got the Chris mark for Ben and hopefully Mac at Lave Station. I would join them. Unfortunately, I don't trust my internet connection enough. So,
don't worry, Colin, we don't trust your internet connection either.
I know. If I disappear again. If you can't get to us in game, you can join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat. Also, you can just go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio or catch us up at YouTube or even on Facebook. So we'll quickly, as usual, go around the team and see how they all are. So shall we start with Ben?
Oh, I have to admit, I kind of missed out on Psychic's jobbies last week. But I may or may not be able to top her jobbies, because my Australian ex-flatmate sent me over a care package from Australia, which was approximately £50 worth of shipping charges for about £5 to £10 worth of snack food from Australia. But some of his snack food were Nobby's bacon bits and Nobby's nuts.
Yeah, and that's not a deliberate naming at all, is it?
No. Mind you, I remember them showing on, It'll Be Alright on the Night. They're or one of those advert shows where they have this woman who always says, I've got a good idea, let's all nibble Nobby's nuts.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah, so Yeah, it's quite an old one, that. I'm surprised, but I hate to say this, but jobbies are so last week.
Jobbies are very last week.
So
Although
we're going to move on.
I am currently on some Australian cheesy balls instead.
So what are these? What are these nobbies, or whatever it's called? Nobbies, jobbies.
I'm assuming it's just an Australian brand.
Are you going to do like
It's
on these?
KP nuts. That's all it is. It's Australian KP nuts. That's it.
I think so. Yeah, I think it
And
is.
I think you should. You know, you get these reactors on YouTube, and their subscribers send them stuff from other countries to kind of test.
Yeah. Right.
I think you should do one of those. I think you should do an unboxing of what you've been sent on a live stream.
If anyone wants to send me something,
Oh,
I
no.
will unbox it on a live stream. And if it is edible, and I agree that it is edible, I will eat it.
I shall
how
send
do
you
you
some
know-
Manx knobs.
Say what?
I shall send you some Manx knobs.
What are Manx knobs?
They're basically boiled sweets.
Okay, yeah, I will happily eat some of them then. Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah.
if you haven't tasted it, how do you know it's edible or not? You need to eat it before you know it's edible.
I'll make a judgment call on that.
Yeah, but it could be wonderfully bestest thing you've ever tasted, but
I'm
look
sure
horrible.
it could. I'm sure it could, but I'm still not eating shit with sugar on it.
Yeah, are you quite sure you want to eat nuts from down under?
I'll happily eat nuts from down under.
Thank you, Daz Scotsman.
I think you should have jobbies, nobbies. Have those.
Oh.
God. Okay, I think that's enough disgusting food topic for the moment. What else have you been up to, Ben?
So yeah, apart from that, obviously I've been away for the past week, so yeah, I've been without my gaming rig, but I did manage to play a spot of Red Dead Redemption on basically the ultimate gaming rig of my tablet connected via Shadow to a cloud PC and a gamepad. So I was sort of able to play that. So that was fun doing that with my brother-in-law and things like that. Just doing Red Dead Redemption Online stuff. I saw the excitement that was Sing 2, which was exactly as you'd expect. But the kids enjoyed it, and I had Bono in it, so that's always good.
Excellent.
So the only other thing I've really seen is I was pleased and I was happy and pleased to bump into Goose 4291 and DJ Wiley independently last night in another universe. So that was nice, just bumping into them at random.
Oh, that's
And they're all doing well, and I think I can probably say this on air, but Goose is out and about being a seaman, or being an able seaman or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what DJ's up to, but he's doing his thing. So if they're still listening, hi to you guys, and it was lovely meeting you.
It's nice to catch up with Goose. Apparently he knows my cousin when they were both in the Navy, which is it's one of those bizarre coincidences.
Oh.
Yes.
Were you the policeman? If your cousin was in the Navy, were you like the policeman and you've got a workman and the other guy from the British people?
I don't know where you're going with this, Shan, to be honest.
Well, you said we got someone in the Navy,
Yes.
and then obviously you're the village people.
Well, we only know one person in the Navy. I don't know if we know any Indian chiefs, policemen, builders, or what's the other one?
There's only four, wasn't there?
Was there a fireman?
I thought there was 5 of them. Oh my god. I am not looking up village people on the internet now. Cowboy, there you go.
Cowboy, oh yes.
There you go. You had to have the Dallas Buyers Club. Okay, Shan, what have you been up to this week?
Well, this week, Mrs. Shan and I had a nice weekend away. Some friends of ours had spent the last couple of years doing up a pub and Airbnb, so we were privileged to be the first people to stay in their Airbnb and test it out. So we had a really nice weekend.
Cool.
test subject Delta is 11 days away now, so Mrs. Shanna's very pleased about that. What else have I been doing? In game, I have been helping Eldest Mini Shan, and he's not in the country at the moment, so I can talk about him that way. Eldest Mini Shan has been doing Rubigo runs till his eyes bleed, and he seems to be following the dark side as racing to an anaconda without learning how to play the game. Because he's 23 and obviously knows everything in the world ever, he will come a cropper, which I will laugh at.
Well, if he doesn't know how to fly his anaconda properly, then I expect you to educate him on the finer arts of how to actually fly one by destroying it.
Yes. But anyway, he's been doing Rubigo. He's still using my carrier as some sort of bus service. He's like, he said, Dad, can you take us to Rubigo? It's like 20 jumps away. And I was like, oh, goodness sake. But anyway.
The ultimate dad's taxi.
It is, yeah. It's like, yeah, I can take you to Rubigo, but you'll need to pay me in tritium. And he goes, what's tritium?
Oh, dear. Go mine it then. That's punishment. Right, Mac, what have you been up to then?
Well, in game, I've been doing a bit of the CG. In fact, I did one run tonight. I'm heading towards Lave in my most excellent Imperial cutter, which hauls 728 tons while being able to fart in the general direction of gangers, who I just low wake. I don't even bother. I just low wake away from them. Their pathetic weapons are no more than raindrops on my prismatic shields and my reinforced hull. So, although one day I suspect Pride is going to come before a full one these days, and one of them will get me, but they haven't yet.
Do they not wing up? Do they not wing up? And
oh
shoot
yeah,
you
but
with,
the thing is they can't.
Cannons?
They can't mass lock me, so I can just low wake away, and the cutter's fast, so yeah.
Gankers aren't what they used to be, are they?
No. So usually by the time their wing has arrived, I'm already halfway charged. Sometimes if it's just one of them, I'll fire some torpedoes at them, reverberating cascade torpedoes, because I always like watching their shields go down.
They can't be that good at gankers if they can't avoid.
Well, this is it. Most I mean, there are some serious PvPers who are genuinely who would be able to avoid that kind of thing, but a lot of gankers aren't really all that. They do what they do. They try and attack sort of poorly armed trade ships because it's the only thing they can kill. And when they find one with actual decent hull and decent shields, they're a bit stuck, really. So, yeah, I was going to say one day I'll probably come a cropper because there'll be someone like, I don't know.
Me.
I don't know. Yeah, there'll be somebody who knows what they're doing, who can deal with my hull and shields. But
that's an idea. Maybe I should teach my Dark Apprentice the art of ganking. Then I can, and then he can do all the ganking.
I thought you said you didn't gank.
Well, obviously I can make exceptions for some people.
Anyway, yeah. In other news, one of the things I have at home is, well, one of the things I use is I have a Juno 106, which is a vintage analog synthesizer from the 80s, and I've been spending a bit of time repairing it because the choruser decided to fail, so that's been my weekend. Although, of course, as soon as I opened it up, it started working again. So it's one of those really annoying intermittent faults that sort of it's like not Schrodinger's fault exactly, but it's one of those things is when you try and observe it, it goes away. But at least I've got the waveforms of what the circuit should look like when it's operating correctly. So when it fails next time, I'll have a better idea on how to actually debug the circuit. It's quite an interesting thing. It's got this. The trouble is some of the chips are now unobtainium, including one which goes by the very descriptive name of a bucket brigade device. Basically, it's an analog delay circuit. which is kind of the electronic equivalent of a bucket brigade. It sort of hands the signal down through its stages, one to the next, driven by a clock. So that's where it gets its name from. So I've been having some fun with that. So, but talking of Antipodean things, during my research, I found there's actually an upgrade to the synthesizer where although it's an analog synth, it's controlled digitally, so it has basically a computer in it. And there is a company a very small business in New Zealand who makes something called the Kiwi 106, which replaces the CPU board. So I have one of those on order now because it adds quite a lot of interesting new features, while of course preserving what makes a Juno a Juno. In other words, it's analog sound. So just like you're saying about the shipping charges are an absolute fortune. But
I was going to. Plus, you'll be added the Royal May inspection fee, won't you, as well?
Oh yeah, of course, customs will probably want to add their tuppence worth. Well, it'll be more than tuppence, but customs will undoubtedly add a charge to it as well.
Oh, apparently, this is a bit of a PSA. I received a text last week where supposedly an item I had purchased owed £2.99 postage, and if I went to this particular website, I could pay the postage and get the item.
Mm-hmm.
I did some digging around, and apparently it is a scam.
Oh, there's a lot of them at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's a common scam, and what they do is they can't do anything with your bank details directly when they get them through this site. But what they can do is it gives them enough information so they can masquerade as your bank, and then they call you pretending to be your bank and saying, "We've detected fraud. We need you to transfer your money to this account for safekeeping," which of course and basically they steal all your money.
Yeah, so I looked it up before, because if I get a link to a website, I don't think I'll look up for scams and stuff like that. But if people get it, please be aware it's a scam and don't try and do it.
Yeah. Always useful information. That anyway. Let's see what I've been up to. Not much, I'm afraid to say. For some reason, I got bitten by the XCOM 2 bug this week, and I went a bit mental with that. And I'm still losing. I've set it down to the easiest difficulty, and I'm still losing. Mostly, I'm not losing at the actual fights, the actual tactical bit, but I am losing in the strategic game because they always complete the avatar project before I get round to it, which is bizarre. I have done a little bit of exploration, so there's a Colin for Colonia Twitch stream out there, but apart from that, not really that much in Elite Dangerous this week. I have looked at putting together the new PC, but yeah, it's just getting round to it. It's going to be, hopefully I'll have it ready in the next couple of weeks.
When you put a PC together, which is a bit you don't like most? With me, it's putting the wires in the motherboard that link it to the case. I don't like that bit.
It's anything to do with power.
Yeah,
or anything actually plugging into the motherboard, to be honest.
The thing I have is powering it up for the first time when you plug it all in and you're just about to press the switch and hoping to God the damn thing powers up and you haven't just wasted God knows how much money on something you've broken out of the box.
Mm. Yeah.
My scariest bit, apart, is probably I'm with Colin. It's feeding through the great big chunky socket that goes into your motherboard, and then you've got all the different. But then I always panic as like, have I got all the fans plugged in, or do I have a dangling fan somewhere?
Mm.
Oh, and you're waiting for your CPU to go and burst into flames.
I'm waiting for my exactly. Oh.
Yeah.
Talking about things bursting into flames. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know how you get like multi-way chargers for USB things these days? What you know, like one socket goes into the wall and it's got 6 USB sockets coming out of it, and it'll charge your phone, your tablet, or whatever. Well, I've got one of them, and that's fine.
Right.
but I plugged it in to the wall over the weekend, and we had smoke, we had flames, we had bangs, and I very quickly unplugged it and went, oh shit. And then I found out my cables were even charged and everything like that, so it wasn't plugged into anything at the other end of the cables, and no permanent damage to anything I care about, but yeah, that was a bit scary and worrying.
Isn't the ampage and stuff of USB ports limited? Or
It was still enough to go off and give us smoke and fire and stuff.
Yeah, USB 3, the current limits are quite high, I think. So, and so USB-C, they're higher still. You can.
It's a USB-C one as well. So yeah,
USB-C, the wattage is starting to get up there enough to make a few flashbangs.
Oh yeah, it was impressive enough.
Anyway, the problem that I've got at the moment is that I have now found out that I need to get a 4-pin. I think I mentioned this before, a 4-pin Molex male-to-male cable, because all the fans.
PSA, never Google that.
Yes, male-to-male connector, not advisable. Yes,
they're traditionally called gender changes.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on? We'll move on to some development news. Well, what have the devs said this week? Not much. But apart from one post from Arth, which I think it's now spawned at least 1,000 follow-up posts on the forums, which it just goes to show how desperate people are for some form of communication. But I will quote this verbatim. This is from Arth. I want to speak directly about the lack of official streams and reduced communications from our social channels since the start of 2022. I understand that the concerns this has caused and hope that this statement will go some way to alleviate them. The whole team are excited to share all of the upcoming content for this year, including new updates, content expansions, and the next major phase in the ongoing narrative following the Azimuth Saga finale. Beyond this, we're also looking forward to our new streaming format when the series returns as a weekly show. Changes will include new segments, year-round Twitch drops, or Twitch drop campaigns, and studio quality production once we move back into the office. Brace yourself. However, there are several questions that must be answered internally to inform this communication plan. It is important to me that we address key subjects by priority, and when we do that, the information we provide is clear. The team and I are working incredibly hard behind the scenes to gather this information and provide these answers. As always, the team and I are grateful for your patience and support, and while we wait for the opportunity to share all of the above with you, we will update you with more detail as soon as we can. And it's 1,000 posts coming from that. Okay, I can see the dots. Shan, off you
go. Bingo!
Yes, I must admit, I was there looking through most of it, it's completely fine, apart from that one middle paragraph, and I'm there going, he's just missing synergy.
Yeah, well, and leverage. It's a serious question. At the end, it says the team and I work incredibly hard behind the scenes to gather this information. Well, I'm kind of wondering how hard you have to work to get a meeting or a conference call together and say, here are the questions the community is asking. What information have you got? It's not really hard to gather the information. It's probably hard to give it, maybe, but it's not hard to arrange it, if you see what I mean. You just get people together in a room and ask them the questions, surely. Or am I being grumpy?
I think you're being a bit grumpy. We've kind of got an educated guess what's going on at the moment. Well, obviously, Arth's actually been seen on stream painting miniatures with Andy Serkis. So,
that's what's going on. They're too busy playing Warhammer.
Which I must admit, now that I've been told that what they're bringing out is actually Warhammer crossed with XCOM, I'm a bit, I might be interested in that. See how, of course, the reviews go. But back to Elite. That it's the. However, there are several questions that must be answered internally to inform this communication plan. Now, yeah, that says to me is that they are waiting on a decision about something, and they, to me, in my, if I'm going to put my corporate speak head on, that says to me, actually, we're either evaluating whether or not a console version of Odyssey is possible, or we're trying to work out whether or not we want to proceed with Odyssey at this moment in time. Now, there are other things that we know about which we will share later in the show, later in the section. But for the moment, what do you guys reckon? Is it just basically the console version? They're trying to work it out, because I know as soon as they go back on stream, they're just flooded with "Where's the console version? Where's the console version? Where's the console version?" And it spoils the streams. Shan.
I was going to let Ben or Matt have a go.
Okay, yeah, I'll dive in then and say yes. I think they're totally working out and waiting on word from somewhere to say what's going on with the console, and somebody needs to grow up here and get on with it.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Well, it's a question of whether or not people would accept a low frame rate on the older consoles, you know, a la Cyberpunk, or whether or not they scrap the console version completely, or only do sort of the latest generation of consoles.
I'm not sure whether it's solely about the consoles questions, to be fair with them. I think certainly the community team has been asked about roadmaps, what's after carrier interiors and all that kind of stuff. So if they're bundling it together as one unit and they want to make sure they've got a consistent answer to everything in one go, then I can see the delay. And I'm trying to be a bit sort of diplomatic. I don't think it's just about consoles, because there's more questions that we'd like answers to than just consoles. I mean, there's the engineering revamp for all stuff like that. But I would have hoped they would have known that in advance, because they would be developing it already, coding it already. I don't think they're sitting around fiddling the thumbs thinking, "Oh, what should we do after carrier interiors? Oh, what should we do with engineer?" I don't think they're at that early stage. I think they're actually working on it, and it's more about getting permission and how to release a message than it is actually deciding what to do.
Yeah. So again, like I said, because we've had so little communication from Frontier, this was jumped upon and ripped apart and reanalyzed, and yeah, it's been a 1,000 posts over the last 6 days. So, oh my goodness. So it in short, wait and see.
Do you think Arthur's resenting of even posting something? Oh my god, what does it do?
Well, that's the thing. He's posted. He's done a drive-by. He's shot his bullet and run away.
Back to Warhammer.
Back to war. Yeah, he's fired his bolter and then bolted off. Ah, dear. Anyway, but that's not all that's happened this week. We have actually had a patch. Patch 4.10.3 was released a couple of days ago. Again, because of the lack of communication, poor Zach was fending off people because people were calling it a patch, and there's a huge argument about whether it's what a hot fix is and a patch, and the whole difference. It's semantics, really. A hot fix.
Bored. People do that just bored, to be honest. You know, it's you call it a patch, I call it maintenance release. Someone else calls it a hot fix. You know, for goodness sake.
Effectively, let's just clarify this. That as far as they're concerned, a hot fix is something that needs to go into the game regardless of whether it's a client-side patch or a server-side patch. It doesn't matter. It's a hotfix because it needs to go in to fix some bugs that stop people playing the game. And it can't wait to the next big patch. So that's what hotfix is, i.e. it's coming in hot. Better prepare yourself. But yes, mind you, it was a 1.3 gigabyte download.
But that doesn't mean anything. That could just be art assets or something like that. It doesn't necessarily be game code. It could just be assets.
Yeah, I suppose it all depends on what part of the X is being replaced. Or maybe you've got to have the full 1.3 gigabyte XC for every single update.
Yeah, because isn't that how Steam works with updates? If you just change a couple of bytes in a game on Steam, for example, it has to download the entire module or program. It can't just download the change bits. It has to re-download the whole module. So it might just be that.
Oh, right, fair enough. Right, well, now going back to what we were saying before, with Arth's statement, one of the things that did come up with the in that thread was the fact that someone picked up that Frontier are actually advertising, or were advertising, for a game designer, specifically to work on Elite Dangerous. Now, that actually has reassured me a little bit, because I was worried that the game was going into maintenance mode and then sunsetting. But they wouldn't actually want to hire a game designer for a dead game. So I feel a little bit relieved to see that. What do people think? Is this the Shan? Obviously, you put your dots in, so
Yes, you others use the dot system, you bad boys. What do I think about? Yes, like you, I guess it's an encouraging step. Although I'm unsure where in the hierarchy the game designer sits anymore, because for my view, the game designer was people like the Sandro Simarco, the Mike Books, that sort of level. But are they now a level beneath, if you like, Piers? Because Piers, I think was.
I think so, because wasn't Piers the game director?
Well, it used to be Lawrence, didn't it? So, as to, is the job being advertised? Are they the person who comes up with the ideas, or are they the person who is given the idea and then said, "Oh, here's how we fine tune it"? I'm not sure quite what level they're at, because it does seem they've gone through quite a lot to game designers recently for Elite.
Yeah, but yeah, it'll be. I mean, but you reassured that they're actually recruiting for staff for Elite Dangerous, at least.
Well, it doesn't say if it's a permanent or a contract role. Being a bit naughty.
I think in most cases, if you're advertising for those kind of things on the site, it's normally a permanent role.
Well, I was thinking, is it a role at Frontier when you're then moved off to Jurassic Park 10 or something, whatever it's going to come out as, or is this dedicated to Elite for always? If you see what I mean.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, well,
with all dedicated to Elite for always.
Yeah,
that's you could be like Sandro. You could be in Elite for 5 years, 6 years, and then you're like, I want to go and play with dinosaurs now.
I don't think Sandro went to play with dinosaurs. I thought he was under the Frontier patio or something.
No, we saw him propping up some. We saw him with some gin after he'd left Elite, but before he was under the patio, at least.
Yes, we know Sandro's alive, but
and we know Mike Brooks is alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw him doing stuff on Facebook.
But is Adam Woods alive?
Yeah, he's doing the F1 game.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me because he was always massively into his cars.
Yeah, he's a complete petrol head. Is Adam
Oh
Woods.
yeah.
So wasn't Steve Kirby a game designer as well? Do you think it's replacing Steve K's job? Do you think it's replacing Steve K's job?
No, because Steve left years ago now.
Yeah,
I hope they're doing. Yeah, I hope Steve got replaced a long time ago.
And our good friend of the show, Stephen Benedetti, he's now doing community management for the Star Wars Lego games.
So what happened to Will?
Will's still there, but he's in charge of. I can't remember now. It's supposed to be Will that I talked to about the Elite Miniatures game, but I haven't heard back from him for absolutely ages. So I don't know.
Anyway, the job advert's up if people fancy
Yes. I mean, a lot of other people have speculated. It's more like a. People have said it's a dungeon master type role where you could be designing new scenarios for CGs and things like that. But yes, we'll have to see. And yes, because of let's go to other real world news at the moment. It seems that game developers are the target of mergers and acquisitions at the moment. Yes, Ben, you put this one in.
I am. So yeah, it was reported in, I think, the Daily Mail of all places, although there are other sources providing some citations that, obviously after Activision Blizzard were bought out by Microsoft,
Mm-hmm.
and Sony went off and bought Bungie, people are busy numbing up things.
Yes.
And
what with the share price falling by a third in the last quarter or so, a lot of people have said, "Oh, there's a game developer over here." Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Just to quickly speak to M1K3TV, however the hell you pronounce that, Mikey TV maybe, Mikey something. She's busy working for Special Effects at the moment. And getting incredibly excited about Game Blast, which so are we, because Special Effects is awesome, and Game Blast is a lot of fun, a great chance to raise money. So that's what she's doing.
Yeah, Shan, what are you?
Well, the source was on thismoney.com. So I think, because when I see Daily Mail, I sort of take it with the same amount of salt as I do a press release. So yeah, it was on this. Yeah, so it's on thismoney.com with a detailed article on it, and they speculate that Tencent has been rumored or mulled over as a potential buyer, but Frontier is actually worth quite a bit of money. Its market capitalization was nearly £1 billion, wasn't it, at some point?
It is, and
so it's not a two-bit company to be eaten up, I guess.
Also, yeah, but then again, Activision and Blizzard, they're a lot bigger, and they just got chomped, didn't they?
I was going to say, one thing you have to remember is Frontier is still a relative minnow. Blizzard is, I think, on the order of 40 billion. I think Electronic Arts about 80. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that will probably mean, I don't think that Frontier is likely to be taken over anytime soon, is Frontier insiders still own an awful lot of the shares. I think David Braben would have to start, properly selling up, because I think he still owns on the order of 35% or something like that. It's still quite a significant shareholding. So to be an attractive takeover, they would have to have the agreement of David Braben, and I think until he retires, they probably won't have that agreement.
That's right, and because people say, well, if they offer him enough money, he'll sell up. I guess that's probably true, but if I was David, I'd want to make sure my legacy was as shiny as it possibly could be before I retired, and I'm not convinced Frontier's legacy is as shiny as David would want it to be if he retired at the moment.
So some internal numbers, like from straight from Frontier about their investor page. David Braben currently holds 32.7% of the shares. David Gammon, who's again another Frontier staffer on the board, holds 0.7. Charles Cotton is another Frontier board member, 0.5. Another board member, 0.3. Another board member, 0.1. David Walsh. Oh, David, that's interesting. David Walsh doesn't actually hold any now. So
Chris Sawyer the legendary developer Chris
Yeah.
Sawyer used to own a fairly substantial share, but I think he's sold all his shares now.
So Tencent own 8.6% at the moment of Frontier. Swedbank Robur own 8.1%. Oppenheimer Funds own 7.7%. So David is still a long way the largest shareholder. Although I guess if
Not a majority shareholder, though. That's
not
the issue.
majority, I guess if everybody else clubbed together, they could do stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that with Argus. There was one shareholder that owned something like 40% of the shares, and another consortium got together and got rid of him. So that's one thing when you have to deal with the stock market, because
You also need to look at the up and coming. What have they got on their plate to increase the value of your shares, and if you're going to spend a great deal of money on it. And at the moment, I'm not convinced Frontier are in a place where they would increase capitalization, because the article says the stock is down 34% in 6 months. Well, is that the stock finding its natural level, i.e., that's the real value now of Frontier Developments, or is it a share drop because of confidence had gone?
I think it was
what I mean?
bit overvalued.
Is that a correction?
Well, first of all, I'll agree with Mac. I think it was it's a correction. I think it was overvalued. I think they were unfortunate with the fact that they got they got their Jurassic Park ready in time, and the film decided it wasn't ready in time. So that was unfortunate. But they're hoping to make that up when the film does come out. So, but still.
I guess we'll see. But do Tencent actually own the majority share in? I only know them as having quite a diverse portfolio of companies they invest in, but I don't know if they actually own games companies outright. Whether it's their thing.
I thought they owned ArenaNet.
That's NCSoft.
Is it NCSoft? I know Tencent has got the thing about Tencent is that you don't realize how big they are, because the vast majority of their stuff is over in China, and they are huge over there. And they are one of the big 4 or 5 in the world. And we don't even realize that.
Yeah, but do they own outright a company? That's the question. I'm not sure they do. They just have a very diverse portfolio. They buy enough to influence, but not enough to control, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Homework for next week.
Yeah, homework for next week. We're not going to look up that kind of stuff on the internet at the moment. So, I think we shall move from development news to the in-game events. What has been happening this? Tencent own 48.4% in Epic. Wow. Anyway, in-game events. What's been happening this week? Well, obviously, the 9th of February, Arissa Liangvi Deval has now been rescued from her year-long captivity. The the Emperor Popsicle is now being thawed out, and
I have a theory. She disappeared. Remember that CG where we had to get enough Lavian brandy to make a Lavian brandy lake about the size of Coniston Water?
That's right.
I think this is just an excuse. In reality, she's been sleeping off the mother of all hangovers.
Yeah. So yes, she's been rescued by Imperial Special Forces, and basically, revenge and senators have been arrested, and we're going to find out the rest of that story as it goes along. And no doubt I'm going to get Shan involved in this one, but I think I was a little disappointed that there wasn't any player interaction over this particular thing. I know as far as power play is concerned, I've been there going, who have we been power playing for? We all reckon it's Kevin from accounting.
You said there wasn't any player involvement. Didn't you miss the massive on-foot battles with the kidnapping faction and
Oh, I
the
must have done.
and the capital ship jumping actually into the thin atmosphere of the planet and duking it out with the base? Didn't you get that?
No, I thought it came down. I heard it dropped from orbit, launched its fighters, and then jumped away again just before it hit
Just like
the
in Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, it was immense. It really was. It's completely memorable. I mean, it's a shame you missed it, Colin.
Oh, I know.
I heard it was a fiasco like the FNS Nevermore, and it started shooting at its own station.
We shall take the tongues out of our cheeks right now. Yeah, it's a little bit disappointed that there wasn't any player agency on this, but at least everything's back to status quo as far as the Emperor's concerned. On the 10th of February, the next phase of the Colonial Bridge project has commenced. Now, this is the first of 4 CGs, so for the next 4 weeks, we're going to be doing Colonial Bridge projects. Is that correct?
That is correct, I believe.
So, yep, prepare yourself for a lot of hauling, and at the moment, Mac, I take it you're hauling a lot of coffee.
Yeah, actually, I was geological components. There was, or whatever they're called, geological thingies. I actually visited my old stamping ground when I started back in the beta. I made my home LHS 331 in a station that used to be called Dick Enterprise. It's now called Dyer Enterprise, DYR, and there's cheap geological components there, or whatever they're called, geological thingies. But yes, I think they should put the Dick back in Dick Enterprise myself. But
Put the Dick back in Enterprise.
As of taking the Dick out of the Met.
Yes.
Sorry.
Do you? Do you think the M6 expansion, the Colonial Bridge, will be extended to Beagle Point? Do you think they'll continue on and make it the Beagle Point bypass or something? Do you think they'll
the Beagle Point bypass?
I think that's doubtful. I don't think anybody's gonna. Because I mean, the Beagle Point. I mean, it's like Thurso. It's the ass end of nowhere.
But it's not, is it? Not anymore. There are fleet carriers around it, so it can't be.
Yes, a free fleet carrier at Beagle Point.
I think there's a free ganking at Beagle Point, so I hear. But
actually, you know what I'd really love Frontier to do is put a bar or an installation up there and call it the free fleet carrier. So they're not lying.
I think they're going to call it Milliways.
Yeah, Milliways would be better. But
I did an article for Sagittarius Eye, which was called "The Deadly Tour," about all the places where explorers get killed on expeditions, and Beagle Point happened to be one of the deadliest places because of everybody getting space madness syndrome and committing suicide there.
Oh. So basically, you get to Beagle Point and then can't be bothered to fly all the way back. So you basically commit suicide and you're back at Colonia.
Yeah, they stared into the void and the void stared back, and so they hit the self-destruct.
If people feel they've got too much money, what I would like to see is the time it takes and the cost of bringing an Imperial Corvette to a fleet carrier in Beagle Point, or someone's suicide winders back to the bobble, and then bringing their ship by ship transport back from Beagle Point. I'd love to know how long it takes. It takes about a week, doesn't it, from Colonia to bring your ship back? I'm just wondering how long it would take from Beagle Point.
It's probably going to be it's going to be more than 2 weeks. It's over twice the distance. Because Colonia is about 21,000 Kylies, and Beagle Point is about 65 Kylies.
It is, but I think as a distance, I think the reason why it's 65,000 is that as the carrier flies, a straight line, or because the journey always used to be 80 something because you could never get across the abyss directly. You'd have to go around.
I think the timing is the straight line distance. I don't think they try and work out a route.
you know, that's one thing I never tried. I've never tried putting a Class E, like 1E hyperdrive or something in a ship, and then so it can't jump anywhere, and seeing if it can be transported, even though it can't actually jump.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wonder how much it would cost to bring a ship
lot.
to a bigger point.
A lot, I would have thought. On the 14th, Valentine's Day's Act gave us all a present by exposing the Lords of Restoration, which are the various senators that have been found in guilty of stealing the Emperor. Interestingly enough, there seems to be an unsanctioned war going on in Summerland at the moment. It's been reported on the ALD power play server that Blackwater Inc. is under attack, surprisingly enough, but there's no combat zones. It's just been reported that they're under attack. So it's a bit, couldn't we have joined in? So, and finally, today, the Federation has been divided by Hudson's proposal because he wants to be president for life. So, who's up for a Trump-like dictatorship then?
Yeah, he's a dictator.
He wants to be one.
Or he wants to be one, yeah. It's always the way. You see it in real life, like in the South American countries like Venezuela. They change the constitution so they can stay on as president, and then they fiddle the elections. I mean, it's what Hugo Chavez did, and Hudson's just doing the same.
You mean just like a certain country that is in Europe but also in Asia?
What you mean, Russia?
Yes. The question regarding this, I mean, sorry, we're coming on to that main topic.
So, someone going to visit Salisbury.
I don't know. All this in-game stuff is all very interesting, but it's like you're reading the Kindle version of Elite, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's background fluff, and to tell you the truth, I'm glad it's there. Because without the background fluff, it'll be like how it was in Fleet Carriers before. It just feels like a dead galaxy. I mean, for goodness sake.
Background fluff. I mean, Frontier First Encounters had it as well. Of course, it was all preloaded with the game because it wasn't online. There was no online, but it had. The nice thing about FFE is it had a few more publications. You had because you had all the different takes. You had the Federal Times, the Imperial Herald. You had the Frontier News, which was kind of pro-alliance. And then you had random intergalactic gossip with all the scandal and gossip. I'd at least like to see Rig back. Every so often I think, perhaps the thing to do since Sagittarius Eye is on hiatus is to kind of start random intergalactic gossip for Elite Dangerous.
Well, FFE, your commander or actions that you took would sometimes be newspaper, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yes, when you did something really notorious and bad.
Or good. If you won the Wicker race, for instance, you got your name in it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I do actually miss the blatant the blatant propaganda from each of the different sides, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. You read the Federal Times and the Imperial Herald about the same event, and it was just it was very amusing. But obviously, for those of you who want a better take on the in-game news, our own Pete Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude will be along with Galnet news at the end of the show. In other news, Operation Idea, they've completed Evangelis, but they're now waiting on the next busted station to try and fix. And according to Thargo.watch from the AXI, the 3 systems they've targeted for defense are HIP 12314, Lembas, and the Coalsack sector. That's one thing that I actually forgot to mention. On the 11th of February, the Thargoids have actually hit the bubble for the first time in, 3 years.
I thought they hit. Maybe I'm mistaken. No, that was the NMLA. I'm thinking the NMLA. They hit.
Yeah.
They flew
No,
up
this
to
is the first time they've actually hit human stations in the bubble now. It's an escalation. They've moved away from the Pleiades or the Coalsack, their usual stomping grounds. And I remember the last time this happened, there were 2 prongs going into one appearing to head for Akana, the other one heading for Sol, that seemed to peter out. But this time, straight on terror attacks. So we could be looking at an escalation of Thargoid activity in the next few weeks.
Oh, salvation, come and save us.
Well, we're going to have to rely on salvation now because they've decided that's it for Aegis.
The fools. I think there's some foolishness going on here.
Oh yeah, Aegis has been played. We kind of gathered that Aegis has been completely played here.
Oh, I think it's all going to go horribly wrong.
Well, until the Tharg, it is that moment in XCOM when the nations start withdrawing their funding and you lose quite badly.
I hope it goes terribly wrong. Yeah, that's just me, but I do hope it goes. I want it to burn and fuck the lot of you, basically.
I think you are forgetting the ultimate weapon, which is the plot advancement cannon.
You mean the Avatar project, which I keep on losing at? Yes, there is that, but I mean, I remember last time that this started to happen, everyone got really excited that they're going to burn the bubble. They're going to burn the bubble, and you just think they put that much work in and they're going to burn it, really? Anyway, I think we'll go and call it for that time of the week again.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Each one will you buy? A store alert, 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 a store alert. Which one will you buy?
Question. According to Wikipedia, the traditional Chinese calendar, also known as the agricultural calendar, former calendar,
Is this going out on live?
is a lunar-solar calendar which identifies years, months, and days according to astronomical phenomena. In China, it is defined by the Chinese.
Well, not telling me what the year is, though.
33,000.
Anyway, this is all a preamble to the Tiger suit.
Yeah, we have two items in the store this week. There's no store alert. It was just that I think Zach highlighted it on the forums. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. We have.
It went out on Twitter too.
Oh, went out on Twitter as well. We have basically these nice orange tiger striped Lunar New Year's skins, as they're called. And if you want, there's in-cockpit lanterns.
If Nick can show the pictures, I don't know if he said, there we go.
There we go.
I was going to say, you can be your inner furry, I guess, as well. Because it looks to me like the helmets have ears on them and things.
Yeah, and it's got a kind of a roaring mouth kind of thing. It's kind of cool. I did have to. I thought. Did
you purchase those?
Actually, I haven't, because basically I'm a bit short of funds this month. But actually, they do look quite attractive. I would have actually got them if I had the spare time.
Yeah, it is the year of the tiger.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite sad it's not the year of the monkey, really. That would have been quite funny.
I don't know, you could eat your Frosties while wearing that suit.
What, they're great, or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
They're only out for a limited time as well.
yeah, I think actually it ends tomorrow, the 16th of February. So get them now. Or if you're listening to this on delay, you're probably too late.
Oh, there's a year of the goat and a year of the rabbit. Next year is year of the rabbit.
The
So,
year
yeah,
of the Xeno rabbit, perhaps.
the Xeno bunny. Yeah, exactly.
I hate to say it, our little Xeno bunny is getting a little bit old and slow, so he might not be around next year.
So is it? Albert, what will it evolve into? Because it's like a Pokemon, isn't it?
No, that's not the level. What's the Pokemon leveling up music again? God, it's been so long.
I have no
It's
idea.
been so long. Anyway, yeah.
Or will a gerbil will burst out of its chest and then run off?
Oh God.
Oh no, it's wrong. Anyway, on such wonderfully fluffy and upbeat moments, we're going to take a short break, and we'll come back with our main discussion after that.
He was a space pirate with quirky habits.
Hi. Most people find me quirky. I don't eat in front of people.
She was a busy space liner captain with no time for love.
I've got 50 passengers to take on a space whale watching tour. I don't have time for dating.
But when fate throws them together, the result is pretty inevitable.
You're like no man I've ever met. Forget my job, ship and crew. Where should we go for a date?
It better not be a restaurant.
From Singing and Dreams Entertainments comes a new total immersion experience.
It was incredible. I just put on the headset and it's like I was there, in the story.
Using Singing and Dreams' patented Dreamwear immersion headsets, you'll feel the love.
It were like I could feel everything that plucky ship captain were feeling.
You'll feel the passion.
Let's just say, when they got off, I got off.
You'll feel everything.
Did you enjoy your meal?
Oop. I don't think I should have had that raw seafood.
Signy and Dream Entertainments and Dreamwear headsets, bringing you closer to the adventure. Signy and Dream Entertainments is a division of Signy and Dream military educational software. Combat training software also available. Please be aware that improper use of the Dreamwear headset may lead to psychosis, time loss, memory impairment, and hallucination.
Oh, boy, space is cold in here. That commander has a cheek sitting up in his cosy and warm cockpit while we haul radioactives around his cargo bay.
Oh, is it cold? I hadn't noticed.
Oh, that's right. Why, you're not even shivering.
Maybe it's because I picked up this North Coast cargo bay sweater. It keeps me warm and stylish.
Say, that is a nice jumper.
It's made from the finest Verrex wool and handcrafted by novitiates in the underground monasteries of Van Marnen's Star.
Wow. Where can I get one?
New North Coast Cargo Bay sweaters. Be the envy of your friends. Wow every lady from here to the Empire. Be warm and toasty even on the 10th planet of a dying star. Now on sale at Spark and Mensa.
Better now?
Better? Why, I feel so warm I'll probably never catch man flu again.
Spark and Mensa, because nothing says sexy like a neck-high jumper.
In-system travel? Sometimes it takes so long. I have tools for all kinds of circumstances on my ship. But the one thing I don't have a tool for is uneven tan lines. I just want to look like a million credits. But when you're living for days on a ship with processed and filtered air, it really dries out your skin. I use Better Hope Goldening Tan Cream. It just boosts your confidence. I don't believe that beauty is only skin deep, but now I really do look like a million credits. Even my friends mistook me for a genuine gold skin.
Jameson and Jameson. Upgrades and services for your body.
And welcome back. Now, for our main discussion this week, as things have been a little bit quiet, we feel that, we have been discussing the narrative a lot, and there has been some criticism about the fact that it feels like, we're just watching events unfold and we can't actually interact with any of them. So the question, now this isn't meant as a go at Frontier or anything like that. It's just a kind of brainstorming session. So if anybody wants to join in the chat room as well with some suggestions, we'd like to know, what we can do to enrich the game narrative to make it more engaging. Now, obviously, there are two more obvious ways that this will happen, and it might sacrifice some things like turning Elite Dangerous more into a theme park than a sandbox, which is always a bit contentious. Now, Chan, you suggested this topic. Have you got an initial starting point?
Yes, the way I would suggest it happen is...
Oh, seriously?
What?
Oh, I thought I could stun somebody by overloading it, but apparently they're dead.
Oh, there's no such thing as stunning on foot. Anyway, I'm not a huge fan of CGs, to be fair, because they tend to be, I think, as Psycho once said, the bucket filling exercises.
They are.
So I think the way I would prefer to do it, particularly around this kidnap thing, is you would have an on foot aspect, or you would have a treasure hunt, putting the pieces together. So rather than being told, oh, Aris has been kidnapped for a year or whatever it is, it's slowly built up, perhaps by in-game drops. So let's say if you blew a ship up, it would release a cargo item which would have a piece of information in. So you slowly drip feed information and puzzles to the community over a period of time based on stuff found in game. So as soon as it knows, oh, if you get this bit of cargo, it gives this bit of clue, then immediately you would get people out trying to either work out what it is or get the same thing that dropped, or something like that, other than the CG, would be my suggestion.
One thing that I would absolutely love this game to do is intelligently link missions together in a kind of chain. Now, this has been suggested before, and I did a little bit of analysis on it. The problem is that in order to do this in order to procedurally generate a kind of train like that, you'd have to cover all the bases. So you'd have to come up with little flavor text linking the two different types of mission and why you're doing it and putting the missions into context. And that, to me, seems more difficult than actually putting the missions together, because it might start with one mission, but then you've got to handle the several different mission types for one, for the link between one mission and another, and then it exponentially grows with each mission as you go down. And I'd love to see it happen where you have these kind of little mini campaigns that feel different every time. But because I put my developer head on, I know how much work that must be, and I would be scared of doing it. Oh, Ben, you just died.
I guess
Miggles went off and killed me.
Oh, good. Well done, Miggles.
Do it again, Miggles. I missed it. I guess the dichotomy is one of the things I like most about Elite is you are not the hero. You're not Han Solo. You're not the Dragonborn or whatever it is. You're just someone, a nobody. And it's difficult to have something in place where you're a nobody who suddenly finds out the Emperor's been kidnapped for a year, for example, without everyone else being the person who finds out the Emperor's been kidnapped for a year. So that's a dichotomy thing that's hard to do in a multiplayer game. I know other games have done similar things. I've forgotten the particular name of the MMO, but I think it was EverQuest. There was a monster that spawned like only twice or something ever.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were in the team that killed this monster, then you got an in-game item or a title or something, and you were this one who killed this monster, but it only ever spawned twice. So it will be difficult to do that without an awful lot of salt, I think. Because can you imagine if random person logs in, sees a particular ship, blows it up, and all of a sudden they're the one rewarded as rescuing the Emperor, and everyone's going, "What? I want to do that. I should have done that." Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I did like about the Interstellar initiatives. I mean, they were sort of like 4 events, narratively linked, 4 CGs or puzzles, all narratively linked over about a month. And to tell you the truth, those I really enjoyed because it reminded me of the kind of live events that we used to have in the Matrix Online. And those were absolutely fantastic. But the problem with those were you had to have GMs running the sessions.
So would this have been a better way for them to do that? This particular storyline, because let's face it, having the Emperor kidnapped for a year isn't necessarily in the same league as, I don't know, Professor Palin finding metal alloys somewhere. You know, it's not a minor thing.
No.
So should it have been a GM-led event? Do you think? Do you think it's that sort of thing?
I would have loved it to have been, but I do know that they've avoided them ever since the Gnosis, because some things went wrong with the Gnosis event. They've been put off from doing those kind of things again, which I think's a complete shame.
Sometimes it takes the courage to realize that whatever you're going to do, some people will complain loudly, but an awful lot of people will still enjoy it.
Yep.
I mean, I kind of enjoyed. My alt was on the Gnosis. I kind of enjoyed cowering on the Gnosis and all that kind of stuff. And I do feel for people who might have broken off exploration missions to go and do whatever it was. You know, this proposed jump into the cone sector.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's shit happens. It's one of those things where not necessarily everything's ever going to work out always. But I think the problem with the Gnosis event wasn't necessarily the intent of the event itself, but the bugs. For instance, not being able to tackle the Thargoids without being shot at by the Gnosis itself, or I'm not sure, did it shoot or did it just fine you? I can't remember. But that kind of thing.
There was a bug that they didn't disable the no fire zone around the Gnosis when they should have done. I mean, there were 2, but in my opinion, there was only 2 things wrong with that event. One, the bug that you mentioned there, where people were defending the Gnosis and the Gnosis was shooting down its own defenders. Not a good idea. And the other one was, of course, the fact that 7 hours before the thing jumped, a Galnet news article was published saying that it misjumped. I mean, if those 2 things hadn't happened, it would have been a lot more positive, I think, because I don't know whether or not they were too subtle about this, though. They did say that all 6 of the Eagle Eye satellites were pointing at the Gnosis before it jumped, which should have been a clue to anybody following the Thargoid incident. You know, following the Thargoids that hang on, the Thargoids are targeting the Gnosis. Get your anti-Xeno ship on it now. But obviously, a lot of people thought, right, we're going exploring, and that was quite bad, because I remember seeing people launch from it and just get cut down by scouts, because the interceptors didn't actually come after the Gnosis. It was just scouts.
So, do you think then? I mean, I'm still on the subject of GM-led stuff. Do you think if they learned the lessons of the Gnosis, and even the Salome event, which is broken all the way across the board, but that wasn't really a GM-led event. That was a player-led event with a bit of frontier help. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean if you learn the lessons, it wouldn't work again. And also, I think whatever mechanism they do, they need to be courageous enough to play out a lose scenario. So if we're saying, for example, there's to rescue the Emperor, something, and if it happens that the players defending the kidnappers or trying to kill the Emperor succeed or the Emperor is killed, I think they should stay killed. It shouldn't be a magic plot armor, haha, I live anyway. They should be courageous to play out the consequences of the player actions, and I think that's one thing I think that that was good about the Salome event was Drew just didn't go, haha, miss me, didn't count. He actually did play out the consequences of that event. And I think Frontier should be courageous to allow a lose scenario to play out, because that gets people bought into stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, this is one thing that we'll have to. I mean, it's going to be a couple of weeks before we have the catch up with Arthur and everybody at this meetup, and that's one of the things I want to ask is whether or not they're going to, they say they've been following the players' wishes, which when you think about it, they have, because we've now lost Aegis because the players sided with Salvation a lot more than they did with Aegis, and look at Aegis now; it's getting wound up. If we've sided with Aegis, Admiral Tanner would probably still be there, and so would Aegis. But no, the entire community went with Salvation. So it does to prove that there are consequences to some of the actions that the players are doing.
But is the end result the same? Because either Aegis or Salvation, does it really matter? The fact they would both get Thargoids.
Well, this is the thing, because Salvation has a completely different way of dealing with Thargoids, doesn't it? And does anybody, just quick yay or nay, does anybody actually trust Salvation? Because I'm an A on that one.
I wouldn't trust Salvation as far as I could throw them.
I wouldn't trust either of them, to be fair.
I mean, I did.
I'm with Shan there, I think. I don't trust either of them.
Well, you see, I would have trusted Aegis, but I wouldn't have trusted. I don't trust Salvation.
How do you trust okay, another question. I mean, does anyone else feel that Aegis was basically INRA Mark II?
No, I don't, because
Okay.
INRA was a secret organization that was kept in the background. Was basically fighting a dirty war. Aegis was above board, and everybody, and apart from necessary security measures, shared their technology as soon as they could with the commanders. And on top of that, in the background, they were trying to understand the Thargoids to try and find a way to stop the aggression, rather than just relying on big guns.
I think Aegis's main crime was naivety.
Yes. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, it was very different to the way that INRA behaved. Just because it's an anti-Thargoid organization doesn't mean that they act in the same way.
So,
although,
so going back to the topic, so how would you have played out the narrative that we know so far? Would you have had a GM on board, kind of manipulating and thinking, oh crap, the players didn't go for this, they need to do this now, or would you have gone with the CG and almost overdosed on CGs, or how would you have done it?
well, you see, that's the thing. I would have probably put in more player GM guided events. You still have CGs, but I think this game's a little bit too complicated to put it down to procedural mission generation. You have to have a human guiding hand, I think, especially for some of those because basically, as you know, when you're a GM, the players will suddenly decide that they don't want to play your adventure. They want to go and play off a completely different tangent and go and visit Thomas the Tank Engine in Tangent Town. So
Maybe they should hire the Elite RPG GMs to run things for them. But I mean, that's the thing though with CGs I found in general, and that does, to be fair, that does put me off doing so much CGs. Is they're almost consequence free. Just you remember there was a CG where if you only hit a certain level, they wouldn't give you gimbal or class 3 beam lasers or something like that. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And there was a huge outcry. We want our beam lasers. We want our beam lasers. And eventually, they relented and got them. The same with these friendship drive things. That was this year. They don't let consequences stick. For me, I just said, "Well, sorry, mate. You didn't reach the goal. The beam lasers are gone. Bye." I would have stuck, and because it does take away the tension and the drama and everything else like that. In the same way as I didn't do the friendship drive ones CGs because hey, they're gonna appear at some point anyway. So what was the point?
Well, to tell you the truth, they've not done that in the past because at the moment, if you look at Lave, we've only got 2 agricultural crops, which I think is basically the Lavian brandy and coffee.
Yeah, that's the developers being spiteful on us. That's nothing to do with content.
No. There's an awful lot of worlds which were hit by that virus. Remember the food virus thing that wiped out crops? That's the one. The blight. They haven't managed to restore all their crops yet because basically when they were asking for people to have the antidote delivered, not as many people delivered them at all. So we have a consequence of people not getting involved.
It's hardly
right now.
game-breaking. It's hardly important, isn't it? Who cares if you can't get a cappuccino in Lave,
No, but you do think I could do with actually. Lave is supposed to be an agricultural centre for the old worlds, yet all it can produce is coffee now.
And Lavian brandy.
Oh, and Lavian brandy, obviously.
That's all you need, isn't it? What
else does a man need, Colin?
Enough to fill Coniston water, apparently.
Yeah, that's where all the Lavian brandy went.
Just a nice guy in chat asked about Onion Head. Now, I can't remember the specifics of what happened to Onion Head.
Onion Head is still there. It's the East India Company's primary product. There's Onion Head, and there's also the 2 original varieties. There's the Capifornacis or Panem Gold, which is the super high quality stuff, which is sold at Harvestport and Capifornacis. And there's the Tanmark variety, which was kept it alive when the mean old Federation bombed the farmers of Capifornacis. But there has been a couple of threads that popped up during the whole Blight thing. I mean, this is the origin of the Blight. It was revenge.
Mm-hmm.
There was a splinter group of Onion Head aficionados who took out revenge on... I'm not sure why they blighted the planets they blighted, but anyway, they were upset about it.
Yeah.
And so there were actually conflict zones. Unfortunately, I was hoping the Onion Headers would have won, but unfortunately everybody sided with the Federation, and which was unfortunate because I think there might have been more Onion Head stories had the whatever I can't even remember what the group was called. I fought for them, of course, but
how did the Cerberus plague end?
I can't remember what the Cerberus plague is. I have seen, and we've got
it's about 2-headed dog, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a Cerberus, isn't that a 3-headed dog?
It might be a 3-headed dog.
Wasn't there a plague that was shutting down stations, and it was being carried from ship to ship, and then people worked out a way to, I think they had to take medicines to the affected stations. Is it years ago now, so I can't remember the details.
Yeah, that was one of the first kind of CGs where that was something that they put in. Now isn't there some kind of medical emergency BSG state? It's like
DSP,
infrastructure.
DDS.
So basically, it's a plague state or something, which if a system falls into plague, you can then shift medical supplies there for extra cash.
Yeah, but that's a temporary state, if you see what I mean. That's just part of the BGS, and you can manipulate that for your own benefit. I think we're talking about the plot, the galaxy-wide narrative, I think, here.
Yeah.
And I just think it lacks consequence. And particularly recently, I mean, if the examples we've been talking about are all almost right at release, aren't they?
Well, no. I mean, the stuff that you're talking about now is basically involving what can only be described as the power play people. And they seem to have a certain amount of plot armor. Yeah.
Should we?
I mean, I prefer it not to. I'd prefer that, they have, I don't know, some templates in the background that, okay, we've lost the Emperor. Here's a new Emperor, if you like, and have a new power play portrait appears. I mean, that's all that needs to happen. But yeah,
it does kind of beg the question, though. Why bother? What does the Emperor actually do if they go missing for a year and no one notices?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem that we've got two opposing views in the chat room. We've got M1K3TV. He says salvation is Inra with glasses and a fake nose. And Commander Sirif says salvation baits the Thargoids, kills them, dodgy as hell. Aegis was at least transparent, but they weren't great. They were clearly not villains. They were just kind of lame-ish. Which actually, I think that's quite true.
So, I mean, do you think Frontier had the resources to do these GM-led events? Because it takes a lot of planning, doesn't it? And it takes a lot of time, and you have to be very careful because it has to be time zone independent, doesn't it? Because if you have it in the UK evening time, then Antipodean and friends are at work, etc. So it's almost has to be 24/7.
Yeah,
event, doesn't it?
I mean, for these kind of player events, it has to be kind of set up and be able to run really without interaction, and then maybe a day later or so, the GM will react to whatever the player base has done, and then it moves things on a bit. There was actually talk. I mean, Michael Brooks, right when the Pleiades was starting, Michael Brooks put a call out on the DDF saying, right, this is where you guys come into play. We need suggestions of what's going to happen in the Pleiades between the Emperor, the Empire, and the Federation. Because we're going to go and do something there, and we'd like you lot to guide it. But then, of course, the DDF, being the DDF, screwed it up, and they went a completely different way.
They should get me to GM it. I can guarantee there'd be interesting results.
Well, isn't there a game designer role you could apply for?
That's not GM. Everyone thinks they're the most amazing game designer in the world, don't they? Of course, but
Okay, everybody does. Yes, everybody does. I mean, one thing that I hope they avoid doing. I know they've been asked for before, but I hope that they avoid doing mission packs.
Do you remember the video? It was in one of the releases. It was like cutscenes, wasn't there? Do you remember that? It was in the game file.
There was cut scenes from what was it? Not Arisa. Ashling. And there was a whole load of Ashling cutscenes that weren't used, and everybody was hoping, are they going to put some kind of little mini campaign for the power play commanders or something like that, or for the engineers? And nothing came of it.
Yet.
Well, I think after this time, I mean, you really think
well, the difficulty you've got, I think, as we mentioned earlier, with an online game, is if you have a mission pack, everyone does the same mission, and it becomes a kind of like,
it's theme
I'm
park.
Spartacus, you're Spartacus. Yeah, and I don't think Elite has ever been a theme park. I think it's always been a
No.
sandbox, and that is a really big design departure from the game to become theme park.
I'll completely agree with that. It has to remain in the kind of sandbox style. I mean, I love the missions with Ramtar, even though you can rerun them. They've got that kind of variety to it that they really were a challenge. I think they over-egged the pudding with them. To be honest, they were a bit too grindy to begin with, but after it settled down, that stuff was good. Of course, Professor Palin was there. Started off by saying he wanted Thargoid parts, and everybody went off and tried to farm Thargoid parts from Thargoids, and then till they found the crashed vessels with Thargoid parts around them, and thought we don't need to fight Thargoids anymore, which is a bit of a shame. But
do you think they should? Presumably, this is once the console question's been sorted out, because I don't think it would be fair to do it before the console question is answered. Do you think they should have on-foot CGs interacting with on-space CGs or something similar? Because
yes, they've got to. They've got to. It's the one. It's the one thing that I feel would help join up the in-cockpit and the on-foot experience. Is that at the moment, because there's not enough connection between the two, we've still got that kind of disconnect. I mean, I'm hoping that things are getting better with update 11, with more space parts to the on-foot missions. Because, I mean, that's what I really want. I want more space stuff. I like the on-foot stuff, but I'd like more space stuff involved with the on-foot stuff.
So would you, how would you do the CGs? Because presumably, if you have it as a conflict zone, it becomes, shoot. But I feel that the benefit of having it on foot is the variety of stuff you have to do is greater than what you would normally try and do in a ship. I mean, a ship is basically trying, either shoot X number of pirates or baddies or deliver cargo to XYZ, whereas in a CG, you could have infiltrate XX base some of the time and nick their power cores or something like that. So you can make it slightly more varied.
You know what? I would like a way that an on-foot CG affects an in-space CG and vice versa. So, for instance, say we have a CG down there which is basically disable the base by, for example, stealing the power core and disabling the base. That base means that the CG up above, the enemy can't be resupplied but from these bases because they've all been shut down. So that means that one side has less capability in the conflict zones.
Wouldn't that be a on-foot conflict zone?
Well, not necessarily. It could be a case of you've got to disable the base, but you've got to do it in a mission type way. And the other side could have say, no, we've got to re-enable these bases. So there's always a bit of push to and from.
I hope they do go that way, because it definitely needs more than just fill a bucket up.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I hope that we're discussing here, because I think we've all decided that although the fill the bucket up CG is a good way to come up with decision points where the community decides to go one way or the other, I think we need to be a little bit more nuanced, especially if we're involving on-foot stuff.
Do you think we'll get any on-foot significant things until while we don't have it on consoles?
Until the consoles are brought online, or we've heard one way or the other about consoles, I don't think we'll get anything on foot.
Yeah.
Because, well, let's be honest, it's unfair it's unfair to those who don't have Odyssey full stop, and it's really unfair to the consoles who can't get Odyssey. at the moment.
To be honest, have we ever had a Horizons only CG?
No, we haven't. Even though actually, at this moment in time, we could have Horizons only CGs.
Because they could be on planets as well, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could be.
Get something where you got to go off and farm rocks or whatever.
Or rescue. I mean, that was one thing that I thought about the Orisa thing, was that what you could do. This is how I would have done the Orisa rescue, right? Is that you sign up for one of two groups, which will be obviously the ones that want to rescue the Emperor and the ones that want her dead. And then basically you go around all the planets in Summerland and rescue as many life pods as possible, and then take them back to your base. And obviously it is still bucket filling, but those life pods are on floor on the ground, and obviously the one that rescues the most pods at the end wins. So on balance of probability, they've managed to rescue more, and there's more chance that the Emperor was in one of the ones they rescued. Otherwise,
So, asking that question to the crew and probably the chat, which side would you choose? Would you choose to rescue the Emperor, or would you choose to hand in the life pods to Etienne Dawn?
Well,
I'd rescue her.
I'd rescue her.
I'd probably rescue her, to be honest.
No,
Yeah,
I wouldn't. She'd be
yeah.
so sold to Etienne Dawn.
I mean, the reason because I would rescue is obviously because I'm in her power play group, so therefore I feel as a Orisa power player, it's part of my job. But it's one of those things that, I mean, that's how I would have handled the player interaction on that.
Do you think the player base would have sided with rescue the Emperor, or would they have sided with this Salah to Etienne Dawn side?
Well, that goes back to the Salami event, because if you think about it, it was completely down at the players who wanted Salome to live or die. I mean, it was a horrible, underhanded way that it happened, but But the consequence has stuck, and it goes back to your point again, Shan, of whether or not they've got the ability to take away the plot armor of power play.
Well, they've got the ability. It's just, do they have the stones for it?
I was trying to be more diplomatic than that, but obviously not. Same meaning.
I mean, let's say you support Orisa in power play and go Emperor for that. But if Orisa was killed and I don't know, they had one of the other Duvals took over, Baby Duval or something like that. It took over. Would that still make you support that missing power? The new power that gave you exactly the same as what Orisa power did, but just
at the moment it would, because of the community that's built up around this power play faction. Unless of course everybody in the power play factions just went, well, Orisa's dead now, I think we'll give up on this power play now. But knowing the Discord as I do, actually, you know what? I will ask them and have an answer for you next week, whether or not, if for some reason the Emperor had died during that event, whether or not they'd still play this power, or whether they'd go off to another one.
See, for me, I wouldn't care. I don't know if anyone else. I purely look at what each power gives me as a player, not what the picture is or anything like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm pretty alone on that, but
Oh, there are plenty of people who module shop in power play, but at the moment, I don't know how to put this. When you look at the modules you get for Orisa, they're not exactly great, but it's got still third in the league tables, and
Yeah, but isn't that a bit like supporting Watford, or someone like that, someone sort of one of these lower league football teams, rather than the Man City or Liverpool? You feel sorry for the underdog.
Again, Shan,
so therefore you support.
you're missing out on the community side of it here. You're looking at it as just as a specific, what can I get out of this? For me, materialistically wise, I'm actually enjoying interacting with the community, and people saying, right, we've got Hudson invaders coming into Baal, quick, everyone get over to Baal and get involved in taking out as many players or federal shuttles as you see there.
So there's not any part of you that wants to be an agent of chaos and just simply allow the Emperor to die, or
no,
generally, Mac Ben, would you not want to be agents of chaos in some of this just to see what happens?
Stan, because I'm not you.
No, there was Scotsman. I will not have a picture of Arissa in love hearts around my desk. Thank you.
The thing is with Arissa, her power play module is actually quite good.
Really?
It's the Imperial Hammer, and you engineer it to. You give it the what's it called, the Plasma Slug engineering upgrade and short range blaster, and it's absolutely devastating. I mean, I've got two Imperial hammers.
Now, yeah.
I have two Imperial hammers on my conflict zone crates, and it's just brilliant for chewing your enemies up.
Right, I've taken note of that. Thanks, Mac. I will upgrade mine as soon as I can.
But yeah, engineer it, and it really is it's absolutely devastating.
Yeah. I mean, I think, are we in agreement that we'd like to stick with the sandbox model, but we want more player agency within that sandbox model?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We want some sand, basically.
No,
and not sand that your 3-year-olds wet themselves in.
Oh, thanks.
Or little straight sand. Yeah.
Or actually, we've got plenty of sand. We just need more different shaped buckets.
Well, we want sand, but more than an inch deep.
Oh, that's cruel. It's more than an inch deep if you look for it. You know that.
Yeah, but do you want any Olympic logs?
And that's what she said. Oh, dear.
20, the volume of 26 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's one hell of a sandpit.
I'm going to draw this to a close, and we'll have to touch on the community corner next. So, Ben, our friends over at the High Wake.
Yeah.
You're the best at explaining the High Wake guys, because they're always good.
They are always good. So I want to. Well, before we quickly do that, I also want to give a quick shout out to him because he went off and gave us another smiley face emoji kind of thing, basically.
Yes.
So yeah, he gave us another one of them, and they're all awesome for all your Discord wavy needs and things like that.
Yeah, we'll have to start using them on the Twitch channel, having them wave every time we get a subscriber.
Oh, I suppose we could do that, couldn't we, if we wanted?
Yeah.
What the hell? That's a hell of a... Sorry, there's a hell of a lot of fleets just flying off there. Oh, they're all wanted too. But yes, anyway, this is more your thing, Colin, that the highway's going off and explaining exobiology ranks to us.
Yes.
And yeah, I'll just say, watch it for yourself. Some of his hypotheses are fabulous.
I mean, how can you describe this without spoiling it? You can't. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Don't trust us. It's not a waste of your time. Shan?
Yeah, I just want to give a +1 for a High Wake. The stuff they do is always high quality, always funny, and always has a point to
Always
make.
on message, isn't it?
It's very, very good. Yeah. So yeah, it gets a Shan star from me. That's a new thing, by the way, I just made up.
Oh, Shanstar, is it? Yeah.
Shanstar, yeah.
Oh dear. Right, moving on from there, we've got. Oh yes, how can I forget this guy, Rosencrantz Jr., the guy that forced me into an adder for 2 weeks because I made a stupid bet. Has let me know about Commander Heli Melly's world first Cobra Mark III Hydra solo kill. We've got a link for that in the show notes, which I've had a glance at it, and wow, serious amount of heat sinks firing off there. But he had, I think, 2 plasma cannons and a couple of normal cannons just to deal with everything, and managing to take out a Hydra with just that is always
that's
impressive.
amazing bit of flying. So
yeah,
I really like that.
Now somebody needs to do it in the Cobra Mark 4. For Cobra Mark 4.
Yeah, well, funny you should mention that, because he just happened to mention the fact that he managed to do it himself in Asp Scout.
Oh God!
You need to do it.
Fair play to you. You
totally.
choose the really worst ships you can to take these out, but you're not forcing me into an adder again for that.
I think he let you off, Colin. I mean, 2 weeks is barely enough time to learn how to make it fly straight. I think he should have been a month to let you master the whole aspect of flying an adder. To get that full adder experience, it should have been a month.
No, I had enough adder experience to last me the rest of my life. Thanks. We also got to point out that Ghost Giraffe has returned to Elite Dangerous with a massive 3-hour stream. Fair play to him. So he was mucking about in a T10 of all things. And of course, we have the results are in for the Buckyball Racing Club's back to Perico. Is that? I'm just going to call it Perico. You'll have to work out what it is itself, which is the Magic 8-Ball Championship Race 1. And I can see from looking through the list here, for the regulation class, Alec Turner is a winner. For the unlimited class, we've got Shay Blackwood. So I do believe Sulu has actually managed to get second place in all cases, although Psykit did manage to get 6th. In the regulation class, so fair play to her.
Well played, Psykit.
Yeah, I keep on meaning to do this, but I haven't had a chance to get back in. Bloomin' XCOM aliens, blame it on the XCOM aliens. That's what I'm doing. Right. Apart from Psykit, has anybody else had a chance to look over this? Obviously, looking at this, Ben on Matt, you haven't.
No.
So, yeah, I'll see if I can catch up, even though it's out of the time at the moment. Next, Obsidian Ant has done a review of all the 9 years of development since the Kickstarter was launched. It's quite actually good to see this kind of summary, I find, because you suddenly realise how much has gone into it. I've forgotten how bare bones the Elite Dangerous 1.0 actually was.
Yeah, you couldn't even wing up with someone, could you?
No.
Yes, I remember the first community goal. One of the first community goals, the one to build the FNS Nevermore, and we were all having to. There were no wings. We all had to drop in each other's low wakes when we were interdicting people. And,
I know.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Route plotting only 100 light years.
Yes.
Yep.
I must admit, I kind of think, I don't know, am I just an old fogey for saying I preferred it that way? Or maybe I preferred it about 1,000 light years?
Yes, you are.
Oh, right, okay, so nice to know that.
No, I think you're part. I preferred it with 100 light years. I also preferred it when there's no engineering.
No, I prefer the engineering. I just don't. Yeah, we're going to go on for that one again.
Yeah, we're not good there.
How about actually being able to only plot your jump range?
No. I must admit, I did prefer actually planning things out a little bit further than that.
Oh, Paul Archer says in chat, magic number plotting in the core. You remember that magic number?
Yeah, I remember. Well, I'm aware of it. I didn't actually go to the core.
It had
when I was
Yes,
still
when the
on it,
route
but yes.
plotter was incredibly slow if you plotted certain routes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and we also have to point out that despite them being only 100 light year route plotter, someone still managed to get to Sagittarius A star.
Yeah,
How long was it?
Zula Romero, wasn't it? Very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got the very first one.
Yeah, and what was it? A couple of days after the game launched, or was it a couple of days after the beta launched?
I was just after the beta launched.
Yeah.
Because remember, they were originally planning. When we finally get in the game, we'll do a massive expedition to get to the thing, to get to Sag A.
Yeah.
There was a group for it, wasn't there?
Well, wasn't that the original goal of
No Man's Sky?
Well, no, not No Man's Sky, but the
Great.
Oh, God's sakes! Giant fleet going to Beagle Point.
The Great Expedition.
Yes.
No, that sprung out. There was a player group. I remember reading about it before.
Oh, there was. I mean, if I remember rightly, there was a lot of people who are now involved with the Hutton Truckers who were involved with that group, who, Flossie, and a lot of the others were all trying to put together a group, because I remember them trying to organize it at Fantasticon, and then all of a sudden, after the beta came out, 48 hours afterwards, someone's made it to Sagittarius I, and you just could feel I know over our Discord, it wasn't Discord back then, it was TeamSpeak, there was a massive grump of disappointment.
I must confess, I was disappointed. I mean, I've met Zulu because he came to LaveCon a couple of times, and he's a great guy. I mean, he couldn't have been a nicer guy who got there first, to be honest. But I remember there was such a hype and excitement about, let's get a mission together to go and explore the center of the galaxy. And reading about it, it sounded brilliant. I mean, I love the idea of that. And yeah, it was kind of like, it was kind of a bit of an, okay, now what do you do?
Well, I mean, that's what the guys from Distant Stars managed to. The Distant Stars expeditions managed to capture that same excitement. So when they went out there, it from what I followed from what happened with you guys that went out, there was still that same kind of excitement and joy of participation.
To be fair, on Distant Worlds 2, it was still there. And what amazed me about Distant Worlds 2 is, yes, I've been to Beagle Point and stuff before, but what amazed me was the amount of research and planning had gone into with the waypoints and what the route was and what sites to see. And the whole community stuff around Distant Worlds 2 was, that was really special, to be fair.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, that is one of the things that I hope that they're going to encourage. I mean, Zach has said that they want to put together this community timetable with people doing these kind of events, but we've still got to see what's going to happen with that.
You're right. The thing is, the Elite really does shine with player events. I mean, I've done several expeditions. I've probably done most of the ones organised by Yannick, and he puts on a really good expedition. And those kind of things, I mean, they take a bit of a. It'd be nice to have more tools to support things like these expeditions.
Yeah. Oh, I totally
because
agree.
They really do. They really are very good. You get a good sense of community. You have meetups and mass jumps, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So there you go. That's give us tools to make our own fun. Right. Moving on from there, we'll just give a little wave to Paul Deckard, Alexander Corbin, and Khan for putting some very nice comments in the YouTube comments section.
What did they say? Come on, boost our egos.
Oh, well, Khan said good. What was it? Good show as always. I don't like. I feel embarrassed actually reading these out. To be honest.
Oh, don't be too English.
Oi. Oh no, that's just horrible, cruel, Jan, and you know that.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Zippy from Rainbow.
Yeah, thanks.
All right,
Every single time I need to hear that, I feel so much better.
That makes Colin Bungle, doesn't it? Of course.
Oh no, it doesn't. No, after what he did. Anyway, we've got Paul Deckard who says, "Love the show as always. I think the only way to go up here is up with Odyssey. I really enjoy what it has to offer, and hopefully more to come." Card says, "Another great show, thanks." And Alexander Corbin says, "Talking about skins and paint jobs, my faction, the Wolves of Joni, have a decal, but only people who did a CG from years ago got it. It would be nice if Frontier released faction decals, but they won't give out the codes for them. P.S. Thanks for the shout out." So, yeah, I mean, that was discussing about things about the LaveCon skins and things like that, because you got to go to LaveCon to get the LaveCon skin. And we're not giving them out the codes, even though the codes I got from Karen didn't work last time, so I need to have a word with her.
You're LaveCon skin deprived.
I am. I don't have the LaveCon skins at all.
Wouldn't they have to bring out a new ship to get a new LaveCon skin? I think most ships got them now, haven't they?
Yeah.
I don't think the Mamba has, though, has it?
I don't think the Adder has either. That's not a hint.
We want a special gold LaveCon skin for the Adder, so Colin feels obliged to get it and test it out.
No. Right. Anyway, we shall move on to any other business. Now, what's Polaris? I take it this is Ben. Polaris Dawn?
Yeah, this is me. So, you guys remember earlier in the year there was the Inspiration 4 mission that was Jared
Isaacman?
Yeah, him going up on the SpaceX with three random people who he sort of got out of luck. Well, he's kind of at it again with several goals, but it sounds like the work is less random, and the work. Oh, I nearly shot Mac there.
Oh, go on.
Mac, shoot him.
Mac wouldn't even realise I shot him, probably. But they're wanting to go off and do some more things with the final goal of being the first human mission in a starship.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole load of steps to get there.
Yeah.
So this first mission, which they're wanting to do by the end of this year, at the earliest is at the end of this year, I think it was actually, is to. And I'm going through all this by memory because I'm actually trying to shoot somebody at the moment.
Well, I've got the notes here. Right.
If you got the notes here, it would make it a lot easier on me. I think they're wanting to go up really high, over 500 miles, if I remember, into the Van Allen belt. Okay, yes. 500 kilometers isn't that high then.
Yeah,
but they're wanting to go up even higher than they went up in the Mercury missions.
That's
basically
right.
Sort of higher. No one else has been this high since
Apollo.
Apollo, essentially.
Yeah.
They're doing a new generation of Starship flight suit, which obviously they're going to be the first people to do a commercial spacewalk thing. I'm going completely off by memory here.
Right, they're also testing Starlink's laser-based
stuff. Oh yeah.
They're testing Starlink's laser-based communications network, and they're using themselves as guinea pigs for a whole load of medical experiments.
Yes.
I tell you what, I'd be so up for all those. Any of those.
So would I.
Well, I'll be down on the ground cheering you on.
I think one of the key things that they're wanting to do with the Starlink stuff is basically during Inspiration 4, they were reliant on NASA's, the world's basically communication network for doing missions of things, doing broadcasts and stuff like that. and obviously the ISS gets a lot more priority than some little capsule.
Yeah.
But if they can hook into Starlink, they could do 4K streaming almost 24/7.
Well, there you go. So, when's that? That's due to be going up at the end of the year, is it?
Hopefully, but
Yeah.
no
Although,
ETA, no guarantee.
yeah.
it's a soon TM.
I mean,
yeah.
That's the Tesla Starship, isn't it?
It's SpaceX is Elon Musk, so it's Tesla, and the crew members are all SpaceX employees. Like you've got the head, you got like one of the directors who's designing the spacesuits. They're the one going up there.
Wouldn't it be like one of these meetings you get when a company's about to make redundancies, where they get the people all in a room and they don't tell them redundant? You've either got a choice.
You go redundant or you go to Mars.
Yeah. Say, Bob, we're using you as a test pilot for Starship. Is that all right?
Oh dear.
At least they're dog fooding.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you mean? If they die, they use dog food.
New definition of the word being fired.
Yeah.
Being fired out of a cannon.
Well, I mean, essentially.
Okay, next up for any other business. Now, this made me feel so old. I mean, really decrepitly old. Red Dwarf, a TV series which, let's say, has had a little influence over this show. That's
really dangerous, frankly.
34 years old today.
Bloody hell.
When it was first broadcast on February the 15th with The End episode. So we'll do an Arnold J. Rimmer salute and smoke me a kipper, you bunch of smegheads.
A final thing of any other business. Are we allowed to advertise next week?
Okay. Yes.
Next week will be Lave Radio's 9th anniversary.
9th birthday.
So it will be quite a special show, so I'm led to believe. 9 years old. I think that does make us the longest running Elite Dangerous anything.
Yes, it does. In fact, actually, we're older than the Guard Frequency, and they've been doing Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen for, I think we beat them by about 6-7 months.
Let's face it, we're older than Zach almost.
Well, I was about to say, are we also older than a lot of the elite developers who've been working at Frontier now?
I hate to think that I'm probably twice as old as some of them, and so are you, Shan.
Who's the longest running Lave Radio presenter?
Ben, I think, or Colin.
I think
no, it'd be Ben, because you beat me by an episode.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah, because I was on holiday that week that we wanted us to start, and I was busy sunning myself, and I get a phone call from you saying you're supposed to be on air, and I'm going, I told you I can't do this.
So what prize should we give Ben for putting up with this for 9 years then?
He hasn't been doing it for 9 years. None of the original hosts have survived.
Oh, I mean, we started doing Retro Lave just after the first LaveCon.
Yeah.
So that would be
2014,
August, something like that.
Yeah, about that.
So Lave Radio started in February 2013, and the first LaveCon would have been August 2013. So roughly August 2013, Colin and I came around.
Yeah, so we've been involved for 8.5 years.
I don't know about you actually, Colin. I suppose this is more a thing for next week, but do you still feel like an imposter, sort of?
No.
Okay.
I do. I still feel like a guest on this show, even though I've probably said the most words ever.
Oh, this is the most. This is when you say the most words ever. Yeah. So next week we're going to try and get as many of the old crew to make an appearance.
Yeah, get the Zimmer frames.
Yeah.
Even though they're younger than we are.
We're still trying to track down Fozzer. So if you can hear us, Fozzer, get in contact. We like you.
Is it true though? Alan Stroud has been held prisoner for over a year.
Yeah, it's being held in ice. Although
he is sending out regular updates.
By Drew Wagar.
Oh God! No!
We're not going to open that book.
Can I just give a shout out to Happy Moon Monkey, who's joined us at this compromised nav beacon?
Hello, Happy Moon Monkey. Yeah.
Kill him. Happy Moon Monkey. Kill Ben. Get Ben now on stream.
I do know that Souverine won't be able to join us because he's off travelling.
Yeah, he's going off back to Florida, I believe.
Oh, well, he told me he didn't know where he was going, but he knows he's going somewhere. Somewhere nice and sunny, he says.
Isn't he like the Sundance?
Yeah.
Isn't he like the Sundance Kid about to head down to Mexico?
Yeah,
North
sort
of
of.
the border.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he moved to America and became a Trump supporter. He's going to kill me for that.
Make Lave great again.
Make Lave great again, yeah. But yes, good luck, Sue. We'll catch up with you at some point.
Who's killing poor Happy Moon Monkey?
Not me.
Don't do that.
Anyway, so yeah, next week we're going to try and get as many people as we can around in the Lave Station bar for a Lave radio photograph. It has to be done. So hopefully we'll see you there. And remember to like and subscribe.
Oh God!
Oh,
I know it's horrible, isn't it? Or rate and
we do have a YouTube channel, so you can like and subscribe.
Or rate and review, because you can rate and review your podcasts.
You can.
And if you want to join my Patreon and give me money.
Oh dear, yeah. Anyway, some shout outs then. Our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio, of course, they broadcast on a Thursday from 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv, Hutton Orbital Truggers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We're giving shout outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts, which are Allograb AM, Black Sky Legion, Canon Podcast, the Elite Cast for Spanish speakers, the Fatherhood Podcast, Flight Assist, who have got a new episode out this week, Guard Frequency, Loose Screws, Squeaking Fuel, and of course System Chat. And for those who want a literary discussion about sci-fi and fantasy books, of course there's the Data Slate podcast by Alan Stroud, that's still out there. As I previously mentioned, there's the Galnet News Digest, as provided by Commander Witherspoon, Commander Beetlejude. Commander Witherspoon's hot off the press from his Guard Frequency appearance last week. Thanks to everybody who's chipped in on the Twitch chat. Always nice to see you. And how many in-game commanders have you got flying about with you at the moment, Ben?
I think my NPC commander killed Happy Moon Monday. So he was here.
Right, bounty on Ben next week.
It's not me. It was my NPC.
Oh yeah, only by obeying orders. That's
It was Venus Thomas. She was set to defend me, and I guess I don't know.
Right. Now that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. Oh, a special thanks, of course, to Commander Tokuso, JN Tracks, and Alan Stroud, who have created music for the show. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com or drop us a comment in the YouTube channel. Hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio. Tweet us at Lave Radio. And you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to hang out and chat. You can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. You'll mostly find them shared with a lot of the Hutton truckers, so word of warning. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Mac, thanks to Ben, and thanks to Shan. And special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, that's Santiago Sputnik Santiago. So until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. You need a safe word. Space can be loaded.
I'm going to see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 15th of February 3308. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, we review our progress against Thargoids. We check up on the Colonia Bridge Initiative. We look at Zachary Hudson's plans to remain president. And we try out the Back to Paresa time trial.
After last week's Thargoid incursion into 3 systems on the edge of the bubble, anti-Xeno fighters have made good progress in driving back the octagonal horrors. Top priority, HIP 12314, has gone from massive incursion down to moderate in less than a week, while Nauni and Dan are moderate and significant respectively. There are currently no Thargoid incursions in the Pleiades, and of the 7 systems suffering Thargoid incursions in the Coalsack and Witchhead nebulas, only Wellington, Shen and Lembus in the Witchhead Nebula have significant Thargoid presence. There are no massive incursions. These successes are a clear sign that the traditional ways of fighting off Thargoid attacks remain effective, despite the increased pressure applied by the Thargoids. Perhaps we don't need Salvation's superweapon after all. Of course, the Thargoid attacks have a long-term impact on starports in the affected systems, with repairs often taking weeks. Fleet carriers and coordinated repair efforts have been making the work easier, but the long distances to the outlying systems can still be something of a barrier. In addition to the 2 starports currently being evacuated, Beaufoy Vision in Nauni and Gunport in Dan, and following the repair of Betancourt Base on the 7th of February, there are 7 starports still needing repair. There is some reluctance to repair stations in systems still suffering a Thargoid incursion.
The rewards being offered in the latest Colonia Bridge Initiative are perhaps a little on the low side. But the goal has been reached easily in both Colonia and Alcor, and both Universal Cartographics and Vista Genomics will be on the way to all 6 starports soon. Rewards for participants are only 6.4 million credits for the top 10 commanders, and there are no special modules on offer this time round. But good supplies of the required commodities are available, and a Type 9 can easily make 1 million credits profit per run, so it's not all bad. The success of this appeal will make Brewer hopeful that the subsequent 3 appeals will be equally successful, and that the 6 stations along the Colonia Bridge route will in due course be fitted out with a full set of services. Indeed, with everything, you need to call them home. The appeal will remain open until early on Thursday, even though it's already reached its goal, to allow the top participants to battle it out for a place on the Scroll of Honour on a number of tourist beacons along the route.
Two former presidents have spoken out to condemn President Hudson's plan to remove the 8-year limit on his term of office, branding it unconstitutional and suggesting that it might be the first step down the road from democracy to dictatorship. Like Alliance Prime Minister Mahan, the federal president has an important role in the power play of the inhabited bubble, and it seems that many of his supporters would be reluctant to see him replaced by a new president. The Hudson Contravention, a proposal to temporarily suspend the 77th Amendment to the Federal Accord to allow Hudson to serve past 3309, is highly controversial, not least because of how divisive a leader Hudson has proved to be. He claims the Proactive Detection Bureau as a success, but it was the way Hudson handled the PDB that led to 3307 being the first year in living memory that the Federation shrunk in size. The intervention by former Presidents Antonia Mason and Jasmina Halsey strengthened Shadow President Felicia Winter's hand to put forward a vote of no confidence in Hudson. Madison became president in 3264 after a vote of no confidence was passed against President Eugene Cooper. With President Hudson's historically poor poll ratings and his divisive proposal to set aside the Constitution, Winters may have a good opportunity to repeat Madison's success.
The first of the Magic 8-Ball season of buckyball races is underway in Pareko this week. Everyone is welcome to participate in this and subsequent time trial races, with an overall winner of the 8 races declared later in the year. This first race is in the bizarre system of Pareko, where a cluster of 6 starports orbit the star. There are no planets in Pareko, and the starports are all within a few light seconds of each other. The race is to take a Cobra Mark III kitted out according to the specification, round as many of the stations as you can within 20 minutes. You keep going round in a loop until the 20 minutes elapses, then you can land at the next starport and count how many you've visited, and, for tiebreaker purposes, how far over the 20 minutes the last landing took you. It's a very silly race, but it's quite fun and very fast, and you get to see your name on the leaderboard. You'll need to provide evidence in the form of screenshots or a video to record an official time. Search for Back to Pareko on the forums. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.